Hi everybody, Old Buck Dave back again with episode 191 of the Two Old Bucks. And with me is you know who?
Old Buckdale.
Old Buck Dale.
Yeah.
Okay, live and well, kicking.
Yeah, still moving here. Still
We are,
moving here.
yeah, we are not in, we're in different houses this time as we usually are for the podcast. But I'm in a different state. I'm up north now. And so I got to ask you, how's the weather in Florida? There's a loaded question.
Well, I did get a couple of calls from people that saw our location in the news, and we were really inundated with a lot of rain. They said about 8 inches in about 3.5, 4 hours, and that is way too much. It was just way too much for it to cope with. And so things got washed out, stores got flooded. We had some pipes back up in the neighborhood and that kind of thing. And you even have a retention pond behind your place. So did you get any words on how deep that got to?
The retention pond went from almost dry to full. You know,
And,
we had no rain in what, 4 months at least down
right,
there, other than
right.
a light sprinkle or two, a 2 minute
Yeah.
sprinkle, and yeah,
And it
boy,
has an overflow. It has an overflow.
it overflows into the has an overflow into the Braden River. Yeah,
Right. So it was. It doesn't flood, but I'm
right.
thinking that little pet alligator that actually vicious little
Yeah,
pet
the
alligator in the
brute.
back
Yeah,
probably was happy to get up closer to the house.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it was funny. There was, we had no rain forever. It's been so hot and humid down there. So we're loading the car up the other day, and so I've got the back lid open, and I've got the doors open because I'm going in and out. So I take a little break, and my wife says, "It's pouring outside." So we run out, and of course, now the inside of the car soaked with the first rain that we've had in forever. So that was my indoctrination. So,
that
but
was the
we got we
beginning.
that was the beginning. That was
Yeah, that was the beginning of the
that
whole
was
thing.
Monday. Well, that was Monday, and I think that's all we got Monday. But I think Tuesday was the big day for you
Yeah,
guys, where you got like eight or
yeah,
10 inches, and
yeah.
they got like 12 inches on the barrier islands, and East Coast got even more
And
spooky.
Miami, of course, that low-lying area down there took a lot too. So all in all, I go back to whatever episode I said. I said it's going to be water, too much water or not enough water. And
You
I
you
think that's going to
predicted
be.
it. It's all
I
about the
predicted
water.
it.
Yeah,
Hey, nothing like being right. I'm telling you
yeah,
what's the truth. It might
yeah.
take years to prove it, but
Hey, you remember the Mother Mary episode with Mary Bensavanga?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was actually episode 138, June 9th of last year. So that's like 53 weeks ago. Well, we're staying at Mary's place today. So we had a wild and crazy night last night with Mary and Bob, and the laughs never end. We're gonna have to get Mary back on here. I would have gotten here on today, but it's been a busy morning here.
Well, good regards to her. I'm glad you're having a chance to visit with those folks up there. So,
So what else is going on with respect to the weather and
no, I was going to ask you on your trip.
yeah.
You had to go through Atlanta, didn't you?
We did go through Atlanta. Yeah. Evening rush hour.
In
Of
evening rush
course.
hour. Yeah.
Well, it was
You're
early
you're,
evening. It was like 4 o'clock when we hit the center of town.
but that's still to me, that's got to be a white knuckle ride. So the other day I'm looking in the paper and on the Bradenton River, is it Braden? I think it's Braden River. The
Braden River, yeah.
Yeah, they're building right next to Interstate 75. They're building two more bridges. So these are long bridges too. So I see a
Yes.
picture of this in the paper, and in reality, it sounds to me like I'm thinking, well, they're not attached to the current bridge, and they're not side by side, so it's not like an extension of the roads. So I thought that was interesting. But number one, they're building them side by side, one on either side of the current bridge. And then I see something in the paper that says these are basically exit ramps for the exit. It's on the other side of the bridge.
Oh, okay.
So another, and I said, Then it dawned on me that the way we're solving our traffic situation down here is as we build these intersections, we make long entrance and exit ramps to accommodate the traffic.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no,
the old days, the ramps would block up, and that people be sticking out and in the through lanes. So I'm thinking that's the solution. Accommodate 1,000 cars on an exit ramp so they can. But I was going to ask you, in Atlanta, they had some short exit ramps. One time I was up there was a room for like 6 cars before you hit the traffic light. And so I said, wonder if that's still like that up
well, I'll
there.
tell you what, I did have one almost bad episode there. So we're through Atlanta now, and it's still we're heading out of town, but it's still, of course, out of town is worse than coming into town in the evening. And it's the road we're on is 75 and 85, and then 75 and 85 split. Well,
Hmm.
we want to take 75, which is to the right side. I'm in the middle lane. There are like 7 lanes. Like,
7 lanes.
I think it's 7, yeah. So like 3 of them are going to 75, and 3 of them are going to 85, and the one in the middle is like, pick whichever one you want. Well, that was the one I was in. So like, yeah, I know I want to go on 75, right? But I'm getting up to the split point, and I'm looking over and I'm looking like, why is the HOV lane way over there? And it's just as I'm thinking that I was on 85, so I did one of these big, you know,
Mhm.
yeah, I cut
I'm trying to
across
picture that. I'm
cut
trying to
across
picture.
no man's land there, and fortunately there were no cars around me, and I got on 75. But yeah, that was kind of dumb, not paying attention. You have to pay really close attention when you got that many lanes happening at once. So.
And, well, the common sense rule would be okay. I'm not going to risk that. I'll just go to the next
So
exit,
let's
get
go to
off,
the next exit. That's.
and somehow I will find my way
Mm-hmm.
the other direction and get back on the other lane, even though it's it. But no,
But
he
no,
decided to cut across. Cut across. Well, you
uh,
dodged that bullet.
I
Yeah,
did. Yeah, it was not something I'd recommend though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the as the traffic down in Florida, which is increasing exponentially, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Just instead of adding more lanes, add long entrance and exit lanes, and there you go. So
And,
I'm
and
glad you made it up there safe and sound.
yeah, we're doing well, doing well. Yeah, back in PA after being through, spending some time in Nashville and Ohio, and finally got here. Yeah,
Hey, Dave, you were talking about weather,
yeah,
and I I've embarked on a mission to change my air conditioner.
yeah. How's that going?
Well, it's I mean, there are many, many air conditioning people. I mean, there's lots of them because there's just billions of air
Because it's
conditioners.
Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can never get one in time. So this this was an interesting process. There was a couple that I know from personal experience, some that I know from advertising, and then there's always a couple that you know from referrals, like from friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the AC that I have is still functioning, but I believe um, it's got a fault that it's just eventually going to stop, and you never know when. It's like you don't want to wait 3 days in this 92-degree temperature to
Yeah.
get one of this to
Right.
start this process. So I figured I would be set up for it. I'll know who can do it.
Proactive. I like it.
Right.
Very impressive.
So the first guy I call, who is my go-to guy that I know, and he services mine, he doesn't get back to me for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
The second guy I
So
call,
he's more important to you than you are to him. Apparently.
apparently, but
Apparently.
I think some people that are, I mean, our domestic listeners certainly can, probably relate to this. But the first guy doesn't get back to me for 3 days, and I said, "Is he really going to come? Oh, he's busy. He's got this. Okay, so I'll be patient with him." So the second one was a referral, like, "Hey, go see my guy." I
Mm-hmm.
talked to a neighbor and said, "Go see. I
Yep.
know these guys." So this guy, they make a meeting appointment for the same day. They come in the allotted time, that 3 hour window that they usually give you.
Yep.
He showed up first on the money, walked around, did a quick survey, said, "Yep, it's a straightforward job." Takes out his paper, said, "I'll give you a quote right now on the table."
Wow.
Bada bing, bada boom, signs it and says,
Perfect.
"Okay, give me a call."
Mm-hmm.
That took no more than 20 minutes. So the second guy, he comes literally later on, also on the first day, but he's a friend of a friend. You know, he's like somebody my wife knows, brother-in-law or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
So he comes in and he was very friendly and so on and so forth. And he says, "I'll email you a quotation."
Okay.
And he did. So that's now I've called three people. I've got two quotes, and I'm waiting for the third guy. On the first day, he doesn't show up. So I think he's going to come the second day, and then they cancel out on the second day.
But no. Yeah.
Okay, so I said I'll go with somebody who advertises. You know, I'd pick someone who's
Yep.
done quite a bit of advertising and or bigger, somebody with a lot of trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, these guys, you know, maybe what they'll do. So I called them and they were very nice. Now they're much more organized. The girl said, I'll set you up an appointment because now they got a fleet of people running around just giving estimates.
Right.
You
Yep.
know, oh, that's the difference. So he comes in and he says, okay, I'll give you an estimate. And within an hour or two, I'll email you one. And he did, but he was quite a bit higher.
Okay.
And I called him and I said, you know, you really, you know, don't stand a chance of getting this work at that price. 10 minutes later, I get another estimate. It's $500 cheaper. So I said, that's interesting because he was flexible enough to, you know, make an adjustment. And he brought it down to a very similar number to the other, you know, the other bid that I had in hand at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So all in all, I have yet to commit to any one of them, but I think I'm mentioning it. I I have a tendency to want to go with the guy who showed up the first day on time with the lowest price.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because everybody else now was within they were within 100, 100, 150, and $500 of that price. The other that of course being the most expensive.
So it's like close your eyes and throw a dart.
It is, but
But you had a
don't you have a sixth sense about that? I mean, I think
yeah.
it's
Well,
like
I was going to
I have a
say,
feeling for the guy. You know,
but
it's
yeah,
like
but there's got to
this
be
guy.
you feel something. Yeah, something that pushes you over the edge and say, "This is
Yeah,
a guy."
and
Yeah.
my guy, the guy I thought would come in. Not that they weren't. I mean, they're all air conditioning people, and they all have to. Whatever they install has to work. You know what I mean? It always works. Um, and I'm not expecting any additional costs to that. At least I hope not. But I said I wanted to go with the guy I originally had been working with for a while. I liked him. I even knew him when he was just a one-man operation. And then in 5 years, he's a 3 or 4 truck operation because of the way air conditioning is. So that's been a project. And when you're making these decisions, you have to put there's like a sixth sense involved in that. It's not just the numbers. It's like I think I like this guy. And
Okay.
then
Yeah, that's fair. That's
and that
fair. Sure.
transfers over into dentists, doctors. You know what I mean? Even
Mm-hmm.
although we never know
Oh,
what those guys are going to charge.
yeah.
You just reach in your pocket and you find out later what that is.
Just
So that's been my
take the wallet and take what you
yeah
need. Yeah.
yeah that's been my big project, and I think that's goes along with what I've mentioned before, that how the little daily things that people deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a plan to deal with that. Some
Yeah.
you do it you know, very carefully. Others you have to do it in the
Mm-hmm.
same day. You know, there's all kind of factors involved. But I'm just about to pull a trigger on this one and go ahead and replace it because he said, well, if you don't do it now in January, they'll probably go up another 20%. And I said, oh
Yeah.
boy.
Yeah. Just do it, buddy.
Yeah. So,
Well, you know what this tells me?
mm,
It tells me you're a thoughtful person.
yes.
And with that in mind, I've got a question for you. I've got a
All right.
question.
All right.
This is a
Hang on, listeners. Here it comes.
this is as if there was you were in a quandary over this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's say you were out in the boat, all right,
Mm-hmm.
and you were out in the boat fishing, and
Mm-hmm.
this is an electric powered boat. This is not a gasoline powered boat. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it's got a very big battery. All right,
Mm-hmm.
now the boat starts sinking, and you say, "Uh oh, there's I'm sinking here. am I going to get electrocuted by the big battery? Meanwhile, 10 yards away, there's a shark swimming. So now you have a quandary like, do I let myself get eaten by the shark or electrocuted by the big battery on my electric powered fishing boat? So how would you deal with that one?
So that's the conundrum. That's the question to me. What would I
That's the
do?
conundrum.
So I would. That's my two choices. I'm either going to say I'm going to perish either way. That's the way
Or,
I
or,
look at
or
it.
you could say something else. Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking
Yeah.
the implication is I'm going to perish because I'm going down in basically, I imagine pretty heavy boat if it's sinking, and I will be electrocuted before I get too far into the water or
Mm-hmm.
something happens. And
Allegedly.
yeah,
Alle-
allegedly. So I would probably choose the just to stay on a boat and take my chances being electrocuted as opposed to the shark. I have an aversion for those things anyhow. So I'm going to
okay.
say I will go ahead and be electrocuted.
Okay. That was the same choice that we had an ex-president made when he posed that situation at a campaign rally, which just makes me think, what the hell is going on here? That's yeah.
So me and one of the most clever men in the world came up with the same solution.
Clearly,
Is
you're
that
both stable geniuses. Yeah.
it?
Jeez, I just shake my head when I read that stuff.
And you're laughing because you see a different logic to this?
No, no. Well, other than maybe is the shark going to get electrocuted too, or I
Oh,
don't know. I don't know.
that's too true. Or
I
if you
was
could
just
somehow climb up to the tallest mast on the boat and let the boat sink far enough to electrocute everything in the
yeah.
water.
I mean, somebody
And then
tells you this, you say, no, you're making that up. No, here's the news video right here. It's like,
uh,
okay, God bless America.
that's
God
an
save
interesting
America. Yeah, yeah,
position.
yeah.
What was the context of that conversation? Was it like an interview from
You
some
know,
kind
he
of
was
sit down
he
interview?
was at a campaign rally, and he just threw it out there in the middle of the rally. It's like, what do you think about this, folks? This was that's anyway. That's enough about
I
that
was going to
guy.
say that's probably not going to leave my brain for the rest of the day. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so um, there was something else as I was going to ask you. Oh, I was going to tell you that this this is another coping situation mini ramp that I think everybody can relate to. Do you, when you have to do something with a big company, uh, most likely insurance or something like that, or
Yeah.
where you're sending something to somebody to have to process something, and they're not telling you, they're not really communicating with you. They just said, if you want to do this, send us a letter or an email, right? Something like that. So I found myself in that situation with an insurance company, and I'm wondering why I'm not hearing anything from them
Hmm.
because they're not, they don't tell me if they received it. They don't tell me if they're acting on it. So I made a phone call, go through all the prompts. Takes a few minutes to do that. Finally got through everything, got to a real person. And they said to me, we did receive your request, Mr. Jones. You made a mistake on your form. We're going to send you new ones. And
Okay.
I said to myself, were you, do
When were
you,
you going to let me know?
yeah, only when you get the new forms. You know what I mean? Only when you get the new forms, and if they came in the mail, they'd probably have to come with a letter of saying this is what you did, which means that's 7 days, 7 working days. So I
So what
said,
can
listen,
what can I do to help?
I said I had already printed out several extra forms of that when I downloaded the first form. How about if I fax you another one? I said, you just need the one page with the little tick
Yeah.
mark. They said,
So
no, we need both pages. I said, but they're identical.
uh-huh. They've already thrown the first one away. So.
So I said, okay. So I faxed them again, and I'll wait 2 or 3 days, and then I'll call and say, now, is this one correct? Can you process this paperwork? So I find that interesting. There's, I mean, there's so much AI now, and there's just it's just not this give and take thing that could make things easy. Everything has to be, I said to him, well, if I tick two boxes, one of them is wrong, one of them are right. He said, no, they're both right. You can't just tick two. I said, why don't you just scratch one out? Disregard the one. He
No,
said, no,
we are not allowed to think on our
we can't
own.
do that. You have to send
Uh,
us paperwork.
oh,
So those are the amusing things. You know, we talk about things that happen to us. I think there's got to be hundreds of thousands of variations of something that our good listeners do, and I'm always encouraging them to write to us, how to get in touch with us and tell us about those things because we'll talk about them and maybe save somebody else the grief of of not not filling it out properly. So that's my
yeah.
story about that.
That's your. Is this a public service announcement, or is this just a
Sort of.
rant
I
or a
mean,
whine or all?
I mean, we always run into situations that we personally run into. Otherwise, if everything went the way we wanted it to go and on time, I mean,
We wouldn't have anything to talk about
yeah,
at
yeah, we'd have to
coffee.
talk about it. Yeah, we'd have to find a
Yeah,
hobby.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of hobbies, hey,
Oh,
you know I'm an avid cyclist.
I do know. I do know that.
Avid old cyclist. So while we were in Nashville, we got all the bikes out and did a ride with my grandsons. And, and so the one's 10 and the other one's actually 8 today. He's turned 8 today. But the 10-year-old is really he's an A plus personality. You know, he's go all the way in everything he does. And so we were they live at the top of a pretty big hill in Nashville, and we dropped down this hill into a beautiful set of trails. It's a big city park, and they've got miles and miles of bike trails, and they're down along the river and by the airport, and it's very nice. So anyway, we did our ride, and we're coming back, and now the 10-year-old and I are together, and the 8-year-old is there. He's further back with his mom, because I figured, this guy's he's gonna want to get back, yeah, 10 minutes before the rest of us. So we're cruising along, and we come to the base. Now we have to go up the hill to get home, and so he sprints ahead of me. So I let him go. About he's probably 10 yards ahead of me, 30 yards ahead of me, something like that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give him a little head start here, and then I'm going to catch him on the hill and smoke him. Right. All right. So I think, yeah, by the second switch back, I'll get him. And it's a pretty long hill, and it's got some probably 6-8% grade. It's not killers, but they definitely get your attention. They get your heart thumping. And so I'm cranking and cranking, and I closed the gap, and I just couldn't catch him. And finally, I thought, I'm going to put a big sprint on here and catch him. Go around the next bend, and the summit's ahead, and he sprints away from me. Here he opens the gap, and he just cooks me. It's like another milestone, another landmark event. It's just amazing.
Let
But
me ask you a question
God,
then. What size of the bike was he on? A 24-inch?
he's on a 26-inch wheel mountain bike. I believe it's
Oh,
a
a
26,
26-inch wheel.
20, 20. Well, he's 10 years old, but he's 5'4".
I was going to say he's got the legs for a
That's taller
26
than
inch.
we were in seventh grade. He's 5'4" and 10 years
Okay,
old.
that says it all because you're only running on a 27-inch wheel or something like that, aren't you?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a smaller frame size and all that, but yeah, he's tough.
How about that? Well, you're still pedaling. I got to give
Still,
you credit for that, but that
still
just shows you
pedaling. Yeah,
that the energy level has changed.
energy level has changed. Yeah. Oh, geez. So hey, I
Uh,
got one other thing I wanted to mention to you.
yeah.
Well, I got
hmm
more than one, but I just one I want to. This
hmm
is just bizarre. And I saw this in Wired magazine a week or so ago. So we'll give full credit to Wired magazine for this. The first AI beauty contest is now being held. Do you believe that?
AI, artificial, does that
Artificial
stand for artificial?
intelligence beauty contest.
And what does that mean?
Well, that means that that different people use different AI tools to create a beautiful woman. Okay, a beauty
Oh,
contest,
it's
an
a,
entrant into a beauty contest. Okay,
and
so
this is
this
not a
was.
real person, it's a picture.
Oh no, no, these are all, yeah, these are just AI generated. So the World AI Creator Awards announced the contest's 10 semifinalists. This was from a pool of 1,500 applications, and the prize package is valued at around $20,000. That's it. It says now, while the finalists run the global gamut in terms of origins, that means they're from all of entrants from all over the planet. They're also capital B beautiful, each possessing a supernatural combination of a buff, but not too buff body, a stunning face, and a kind of effervescent personality that only really exists in influencer culture. Their hobbies and pet causes include fashion, inclusion, travel, hormonal imbalances, are blandly interesting enough to make them palatable to followers and brands alike. In other words, no different than other beauty contests. I thought that last line was pretty good. So, yeah, so there's an artificial intelligence beauty contest made up of these synthetic.
So they let the computers take all the facts and data about beauty contests and what constitutes the winner, and they built these models.
Yeah, yeah. Each of the contestants has built one of these models.
Is there a link to that? Do you have a link to that?
I'll put a link to that in the show notes. Yeah. So
Because that would be
yeah, it's pretty
fascinating to
bizarre.
see
It's pretty bizarre.
what they came up with. Is what I mean. They all look like Barbie.
Basically, yes. I mean, not quite as
I
not
I
quite
am
Barbie, but
brilliant. I'm telling you what the
yeah,
truth.
but they're all, they all got long flowing hair, and yeah,
Okay,
they're,
don't
they're
don't
all
ruin it for me.
they're all hoping for world peace. Yeah,
What?
it's just
Quiet walks
bizarre.
on the beach and the sands
Yeah,
and the beach. Yeah,
yeah,
that is interesting. That is interesting. So even the computers are not going to be able to come up with too much different than what works because they're only relying on the information they have, right? So
that's right. That's
that's the
right.
criteria that we use.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll be darned.
Pretty strange.
Oh, that's interesting.
So,
So
what else are you finding interesting
the
in your
the
life?
only thing I saw is that every now and then good people. Um, I don't I don't scour the internet. I'm very rarely on the computer, and I'll get a picture and from old Buck Dave, and he'll say, "Do you believe this?" And
Yeah,
the one picture he sends me is the lowered back gate of a giant air transport. Uh,
transport plane. Yeah,
yeah, transport plane, and then driving out of the back of this plane is looks, I would say, pretty much a standard tractor pulling a trailer. That's a complete Burger King
it's a complete Burger
restaurant.
King restaurant
Yeah,
that gets deployed to U.S. Bases. Yeah,
yeah. I said to
isn't that
myself, I
amazing?
said, think about the size of that, the cost of that to move that, and how interesting that would be. They fly to someplace, they whip this thing out and fire it up, and everybody can have
And
some
it's a
local
priority,
fast
clearly.
food.
It's a
Yeah,
priority. Yeah,
yeah.
that they do this. Yeah, we got that from Eurobuck Paul, who we've talked to a couple times. Who, by the way, he just received his French citizenship a couple weeks ago. He sent me pictures of the ceremony and his French passport. So he's pretty pleased about that. Voted in his first French election.
Oh, that's cool.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So other than stuff like that, we've been busy doing things and amusing ourselves, right, with the daily activities of. Tell me,
S-
you are up north, and you are going to attend a little gathering of what would you call a herd of people that are about the same age as you?
I would call it a high school reunion,
Yeah, you could call it
which
that.
you are going to join by Zoom. So we might we might get a segment or two out of that. We'll see what happens.
A herd of 78-year-old people in the
Oh
same
yeah,
room.
oh, we caning their way in. Yeah,
In the middle of a very, very small town
very small town that we grew up in.
with a downtown no bigger and with what basically two intersections and not more than a block deep at the most. So
that's it, pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, was it. So
going back in time.
Going back in time. Well, all the best to those folks when I see them. I hope I'll be able to zoom in there with you on that day, and all the best to you and your trips up there. Stay well, enjoy your visit, and probably some bike riding and all your friends. So I would say this is old Buckdale saying, I will see you when I see you on that meeting. And thanks everybody for listening, and talk to you next time.
All right. Thank you, everybody. This is Old Buck Dave saying it's been fun again. I look forward to getting your feedback on this episode. You can see in the show notes the ways you can contact us. Please contact us. We love to get feedback from our listeners. And tell your friends about us. Get your friends to subscribe to us. We need to get, if we get a couple more subscriptions, we'll be up in double figures in listeners. So that'll be a great thing. Anyway, all kidding aside, take care, folks. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.